Presentation today is called the Hotel Communications Ecosystem Test. That's a mouthful. Basically, is what it is a stress test that you can order from us. You can put on your network and find out exactly how prepared or not you are for a VoIP telephone system and how it will affect your network. With me today is Daniel Bravo. He's with a company called VxSuite that basically created the software and the hardware that's behind all this. So he'll be able to answer some more technical questions that I might be able to handle, and just some housekeeping for along the way. We're happy to have questions. You can type them into your GoToMeeting tab that should be showing on your screen, and we will be tackling all those questions at the end. I'll try and ask some pertinent questions as we go along, but we will, once we get to the end, we'll tackle each one as they come up. So we're going to start the presentation now and get into the meat of the thing. So the whole point of testing on your network is to make sure you're not a VoIP horror story. We, as a manufacturer, have heard a great deal about this. People have gone in for all the right reasons, wanting to install voice over IP telephone systems in their hotels and businesses, only to find out that without proper testing on their network, without the right kind of knowledge and information at their fingertips, and certainly at their IT technicians' fingertips, then you can run into a whole host of problems. And 90% of them are not the voice over IP equipment itself, but rather the network it's living on. So this entire product is to make sure you understand, you're prepared, and that you can test your network inside and out before you make a decision about voice over IP. You'll find there's a lot of information that can come out of these tests that will help you track down weak spots you may have on your network, and certainly weak spots beyond your network up to the internet. So the goal is to increase success and savings of both time and money by installing voice over IP, but to give you a method, and an independent method, if you will, of finding out the facts about your network. So the test will actually do these things. It's going to prove your network inside and out. I'll show you the details of that in a moment. It'll tell you your capability to use voice over IP or not. We're going to minimize the enemies of any voice over IP system, and that's latency, jitter, and packet loss. Those are the things that cause poor voice quality. If we can find out that they exist before, then we are able to order our services with confidence and keep our users happy, which is, in the end, is what matters the most. So what's required to do this? We have a couple different devices that will be part of this test that literally will ship to you. We configure them here in our factory after we've talked with you and your IT personnel, and we find out some details about your system, type of local area network you have, and so on. Then go ahead and order those devices and decide on testing and installation dates. This is one of those devices. That coin is roughly the size of a penny, so the device will just fit in the palm of your hand. So a very simple thing to install, very unobtrusive on your network. Now, here's what I'm going to show you the details of what this looks like on a very simple network. There's two tests, test 1 and test 2, for lack of better terms. And test 1 will require 2 devices on your LAN as far apart as possible. So I'm going to dive into a very simple illustration of what a network may look like. And here we have a test device here at one side of the local area network through a switch, through yet another switch to the test device on the other end. The point being here is you want these 2 test devices as far away as physically and logically possible within your own network to give us the best information on testing. Then once these devices are turned up at the agreed time, this will simulate a great deal of voice over IP traffic. The amount of traffic it simulates is depending on your organization size and what we find out in our initial research. So we can, if you have a certain number of users, we can simulate that kind of traffic going over the network all at the same time. So these two devices will create that traffic. The other side of that is we'll gather the statistics and data that we get from the testing and report that up to our reporting website. One question you might have about this is, as we do this, we're stressing your network. Daniel, can you tell us, is there any effect of this on their network as we're doing the test? Does it cause any disruptions?
It depends on the test itself. So you can manipulate the test where it'll send one call every minute or calls every minute, all the way up to 24 calls. So if you send 24 calls a minute, it could slow down the network because you are sending traffic back and forth. So in most cases, in most test scenarios, what we'll do is we'll gradually ramp up and see where your MOS score, which is the mean opinion score, which gives us an idea of when the voice quality is going down, reaches below a certain limit. So MOS scores are generally around the 4.0 range would be a good voice quality score. Anything below 3.7 would indicate that you're starting to get some voice problems. So we would set the system to alert us whenever voice quality goes below 3.7. So we won't actually break your network at all, but what we'll do is we'll send just enough phone calls back and forth between the two agents to determine at what point does the voice quality start to go down. Once we get that metric, then we essentially stop the testing.
Excellent. Okay, great. So that's the internal network. But then, of course, we get a bunch of reports out of this. This is just a sample of them. It's not really a real one, but it gives you an idea of the kind of detail you're going to get. And what the idea here is to hone in on all the devices that are on the network, find out if there's any that are causing specific problems, and then track those down to develop a report. That report then gets shared with you, the users, and we deliver that by email. And then what we ask is that you discuss those details. Obviously, if there's problems, we want to have a look at them and figure out the best way to solve them. And hopefully, there won't be any problems and we can move on to the next test. But this is critical that we discuss all the results that we found and prove out that network so we're confident at least everything internal on your network is working the way it should and that you're prepared for voice over IP. So that's test one. We move on then to test two, and this is a much wider test. It's actually beyond your network testing bandwidth. So it's the bandwidth for VoIP test. This tests a number of things, but again, we're simulating traffic over the network. So in this case, I'm back to that same network drawing. Now we have our test device outside of your network, but still connected directly to the cloud or the internet, if you will, through your ISP. So now this test device is simulating the same type of voice traffic and sending it up into the cloud and reporting on that. So it'll tell us, again, what type of speed we have overall, what the common errors are going to be that can cause that jitter and latency and data loss packets. That all goes out to our website. This is actually the endpoint of the test. So it starts here, go up through the internet and to our website beyond that, which is voiptest.phonesuite.com. Excuse me. And that's where we tally all those results and develop the reports. So both tests, by the way, could probably be done in 2 weeks or less. Just a matter of really getting the humans together to talk about it is the more time-consuming aspect of this. But so that's what the second test will do. That's what it's going to tell us. It seems that most problems we have, once you've had a quick look at the internal network, is this is where you're going to find the most problems. So you'll find out how good your internet connection is and how well it can handle the additional traffic that voice over IP will introduce to it. So again, you'll get some results out of this. Let's see, I have a page. You're going to get the results that will do the quality of calls reporting simulated. That's what Daniel was just talking about, the mean opinion scoring, MOS, which quite literally is what humans think of the call. So that's why it says opinion. So the calls are either good, bad, or ugly, or very good. So, and then we'll also report on the bandwidth and, again, those nasty critters, latency, jitter, and delay that cause our voice problems. So we'll find out ahead of time. This is an idea of what the report actually looks like. So this one wasn't so great, but it gives you an idea of what they're looking at. So in this report, we can see the type of calls and what they were considered as the calls went out. Obviously, we want to see good, great, and okay here. In this case, there was errors happening, and some of the calls were not so hot. With that same report, then you get a bandwidth report that will show the correlation now between the poor calls, the timing, and the usage on the broadband pipe. So out of this, we can draw some conclusions. In this case, the mean opinion score values are being driven down by packet loss and delay. So that's the kind of stuff we can find out. Once we know that, then obviously we can address it with either a different quality of service router potentially, or bigger pipe, or both. A number of different ways we can fix that. So there's that average MOS score he was talking about. Like I said, we want to see that improved. We want to see all these things just as well as we can, so we're concentrating on the better report. So how does this work? The specific details are this. Excuse me there, I'm going the wrong way. So to do this, for lack of a better term, stress test, we will provide this to you at very minimal cost. So what we ask you is, as you order, we'll take a $500 deposit, and this deposit is for those devices you saw. That deposit is refunded immediately once you return and the testing's all done. So we go through our return material authorization process to do that, and that's how you actually get the physical equipment. We only charge $75 a month for programming and monitoring. So the programming you ask, what that means is us, after talking to your IT, configuring the devices here before we ever send them out, and then obviously monitoring the information and setting up discussions with your team to let you know what we've found and get the reporting done. While we are manufacturers, we are in the business of making sure our IP phone system works, but we also will refund all fees with the acceptance of a simple quote from us. Otherwise, you'll still be responsible for that $75 a month. So obviously you want to be in the market for an IP system, but we're not trying to be exactly specific. If you decide to purchase an IP phone system from any of our competitors after going through this test, then we'll refund your fees as well. So in essence, this comes down to being free. You get extremely valuable information that can save you from being that horror story and giving you, at the very least, even if you don't buy a system, a really strong picture of your network and of your pipe to the internet, so that as you come across issues with your network, you've got a very good starting point and very good information to go with. So to do this, VoiceWare by PhoneSuite, by the way, is our IP version of the PBX for hotels. You can order this test from a PhoneSuite rep today, so the numbers are right here. You can email to sales@phonesuite.com or call our 800 number, 800-245-9933, or you can actually email me to, I'm in the presentation part of the GoToMeeting, it's jmore@phonesuite.com. But in any event, we'll get you there, and we'd be happy to do this testing for you and give you the information you need to make a better decision. With that, I'm going to thank Daniel for coming in and helping me out here, and again, thank all of you for taking valuable time out of your day to listen to our webinars.